Good morning. First off, I'll be accepting the amendments as outlined in the staff analysis on items number 1 and 2. I will not be accepting item number 3 because the issue of debt validation is going to be handled in the Judiciary Committee, which is it's going to be referred to should I be successful today. I believe SB 1265 strengthens democratic governance of California's 52,000 homeowners association. Unfortunately, too many homeowners associations have used arbitrary and unjust rules to maintain their power and control over the association, excluding and disenfranchising other residents in the community who seek to challenge them. Boards have manipulated elections by failing to notice the election, failing to deliver ballots to all the residents, and throwing away ballots. Sometimes they don't even hold the elections. With me today is Judge Tom Sir, who I actually appeared before back in the day, with the Center for California HOA Law, as well as Kevin Baker, who just celebrated a birthday, and he's here with the ACLU.
Thank you. To your witnesses.
My name is Tom Sir, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I am here on behalf of the Center for California Homeowner Association Law. I'm on the legislative committee. The president of the center is here with me, Marjorie Murray. And the center is dedicated to protecting and advancing the consumer and civil rights of homeowners living within California's 52,000 CIDs. And as such, the center continues to receive many complaints from all around the state about violations and abusive practices around the conduct of elections. And these abuses are generally aimed at squelching any challenges to the incumbent board. We also receive complaints on how unresponsive some courts have been to claims that are brought before the court about these abuses. And for this reason, we are strongly supporting the bill 1265, which addresses those many complaints that we have received. So, I vote.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Happy birthday.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Kevin Baker for the American Civil Liberties Union of California, also in strong support of the bill. Nobody knows better than this body how important the integrity of elections is to our democratic process, and that's true in elections for the Assembly and the legislature as well as it is for homeowners associations. You can only imagine the mischief that would be invited if the rules for qualification or eligibility to run as an assembly member were subject to manipulation in the way that the rules can be and have been in the past for homeowners associations. In fact, there are in many cases many more rules, higher standards for running for a homeowners association board than there are as a member of the Assembly or a member of the Senate. We think this is absolutely vital. Homeowners associations are really a growing and important force in local government because they are sort of quasi-governmental entities in many ways. And we believe that this measure, Senator Wachowski, is really vital to ensuring that these elections are free and fair. Only sorry to see that the findings and declarations from the bill are currently being deleted, because I think those actually did assist in sort of advancing the principles that the bill sought to enact. Nevertheless, we remain in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other organizations in support? Feel free to step up and state your name and organization.
Good morning, Mallory Michael on behalf of Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones in support. Thank you.
Teresa Burkbitch on behalf of the Natural Resources Defense Council in support.
Let me ask if there are any members in the audience that wish to oppose the bill. Are you a tweener? How would you like to express your perspective?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I'm an individual within a homeowners, actually a common interest development association.
And are you in support or in opposition?
I am in support.
Great. And
yes.
what is your name?
My name is Martha
And where are you
Ash.
from? And where are you from?
I am from the historic town of Locke, California, where I own a property, and there are egregious violations of the election laws that have been going on since 2009 within our little board of directors that runs the community interest development there. That they have self-elected their board seats since 2009. They have appointed their girlfriends, their mortgagees, and their tenants to the board and have kept all others out.
Great, thank you very much.
We need your help, thank you.
Appreciate your testimony. Excuse me, sir, are you also in support?
Yes.
If you want to just step to the mic and tell us your name and where you're from.
Thank you. I'm from Burlingame, California. I'm a member of CCHAL, and I am supportive of this. The Burlingame Park Plaza Towers has not run appropriate elections in 12 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now to the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Louis Brown on behalf of the Community Associations Institute California Legislative Action Committee. We are opposed to SB 1265. I want to thank the committee and the committee staff for the analysis and the amendments that were suggested. They do make some positive changes to the bill, but there are still some significant concerns with the bill. We're concerned that language in the bill is actually going to increase costs for associations and ultimately, more than likely, suppress voter participation because some of the concerns that it creates. First and foremost, on the increase in the cost, it says, and the only way that a board could disqualify a member pursuant to the language right now is if through its bylaws, the association added this language. We don't understand why that's even necessary. That's just an unneeded cost that every association, 55,000 associations in the state of California, would have to move forward and do. In order to do a bylaw amendment, you have to actually have those bylaw amendments drafted, mostly by an attorney, and then an election has to take place. If in fact these are going to be the requirements, then why not just make those statutory requirements and relieve these associations of having to do the bylaws? We have said all along that we do think that there are some other areas that should be allowed for and that associations should have some flexibility to provide some additional disqualifications. In that area, we would be open to allowing that to be done by a bylaw change because it's a higher bar. There's greater transparency there. There are issues throughout the state. Some boards throughout the state have that spouses cannot serve on the board at the same time. There's other conflicts of interest that may occur. Maybe someone is in active litigation with the association that create a significant conflict for them to be on the board. We think those types of situations should be allowed at a local level and that the association should be able to do those through a change in the bylaws, not necessarily a rule. We agree that the IDR issue needs to be addressed. They provide that for a member in good standing would just be regular assessments, nothing about special assessments, which occur throughout associations in the state. And then I'll wrap up on why we think this will suppress actual participation in these elections, these votes, simply because the way the bill is read now, members would have access to the voter registration list, that have access to the ballots, that have access to the signed envelopes, basically have access to every piece of paper and then be allowed to copy that. Most associations in the state, as the analysis points out, are less than 50 units. These are small communities. It does not take a whole lot of effort to put those ballots together with the signed envelopes and really start to create an invasion of privacy. In fact, there is litigation, there's court case out there that has held that in an owner's interest to privacy, constitutional interest to privacy, is actually a higher bar than allowing someone access to the copying of these documents. We think at a minimum that has to be removed to protect the privacy interests of these owners that participate. Without that, simply we'll see a whole host of voters not participate in these elections because of the fear of privacy. We support unbiased elections. We support clear and concise rules. Our concern with this bill right now is it is so convoluted, so complex, it's just going to result in higher costs, additional litigation, and more likely, more non-compliance by associations throughout the state. Therefore, we oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's California. Mr. Chair and members, Jennifer Wada on behalf of the California Association of Community Managers. We appreciate the work of this committee and the amendments that the author has accepted, but for the reasons CAI has stated, we would associate ourselves with those comments and we remain opposed.
Great. Are there any other members of the audience in opposition? Let's bring it back to the committee. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you know, it's hard to prove election fraud if you don't know the universe of the voters. So you don't know who you're starting with. We put in safeguards of letting people use the parcel number. I couldn't tell you what my parcel number is, even though I write it on my check when I pay my property taxes twice a year. So we're trying to provide that, but I'm willing to work with the opposition as I have throughout. There is a price of democracy. You know, if it's going to cost us $1 or $2 for these elections, then I think that that's a valuable price to pay to live in a homeowners association, to be able to sit back and say everybody participates in the election. If we're successful today and we move on to judiciary, I will work with the opposition on whether we can do this statutorily or bylaws. You know, I don't want to have just unusual costs. I mean, I know one of the challenges that we have is that while the creation of the homeowners associations required that they have election at the incorporation, many of them don't have any provisions that require them to have ongoing elections. So, you know, if we're going to have some uniformity, I'm willing to talk about the thresholds. But with that, I would urge an aye vote.
Great. And with that, I appreciate your work on this and for accepting the committee amendments. And I think clearly we all want to stand for fair elections that are transparent and that work. And so with that, I will be supporting this bill and have it do pass as amended recommendation. And I do know that this will be going on to Assembly Judiciary Committee, where a number of us will have another opportunity to look at that. So with that, I'll take that as your final comment. It looks like Dr. Choi, you have a question.
I want to ask Senator why would it be so difficult to leave to the elected body of the board of directors of each homeowners association set their rules, and they are constantly re-elected if they have problems. The members will choose somebody else, and then it can evolve as like a living document. Why do we have to govern over the elected board of directors?
Because in some incidents, at least with the Center for Homeowners' Rights, they've showed repeated techniques that have been used to disassociate people from the electoral process. Judge Sir may give you a more specific response.
Yes, Dr. J. What happens in many of these associations is that the board, which now has the power to set any qualifications without limit on who can run for the board, and that power has been abused in a number of situations that we have documented. And so one of the key provisions in this bill is it greatly limits the basis on which a person can be disqualified from running for the board. That is one of the mechanisms, the primary mechanisms, how an incumbent board remains in power. They just don't allow others to run.
And through the chair, I would say for the good acting and the democratically embracing homeowners association, this will be a nothing burger for them. But for the people who have had these boards that are abusive in not allowing people who live in the association to participate, I think this is going to be a watershed change of operation in their elections.
Thank you.
And with that, any final comments?
From Locke to Lafayette and Los Angeles to Lompoc, we need your help. Please support us.
Thank you. There's been a motion to move the bill by Mr. Chow, second by Ms. Niman. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Motion to pass is amended to the Judiciary Committee. Chu?
Aye.
Chu, aye. Mainshine? Chow? Chow, aye. Choi?
No.
Choi, no. Gloria? Limon? Limon, aye. Wood?
Your bill has 3 votes. We'll wait for other members to add on. And with that, we will go to the final bill on today's agenda, and that is file item 2, SB 831. Mr. Senator.
Thank you. So the goal will be, well, I guess